All right. A very good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. This is the Part 2 orientation program. We have recently completed our Part 1, Part 3 session series. And now we are planning to start our CIA Part 2 detailed session series. So this is more to kind of set the context of what is CIA Part 2 in terms of the orientation program. So in this session, I'll be touching upon a quick introduction about myself. I think most of you know me, but still for the larger audience who would also later also look at the recording, this will help them to understand. And then we'll a little bit touch upon the CIA Part 2 program. So since all of you have largely been through the Part 1, Part 3 session series as well, so you already know what is CIA course, what are the steps to become the CIA, what are the benefits of being an IA member, what is the registration process, and what are the part-wise topics. So we'll stick to Part 2 focused discussion, like we have just now took a poll, and most of you have been part of the earlier session series, so I don't have to give you the entire approach section, but we will rather be focusing on the part two related content, right? So what are we going to do? What is the schedule? We are going to focus on those two aspects. So it's probably we have planned it for a larger hours, but since I think everyone has been part of the previous session series, so we will limitize the discussion to only specific sections. Otherwise, it will be unnecessary waste of time for lot of you. And people who are looking at the recordings can also look at the part one, part three orientation programs along with this for a overall context on the CIA program. All right, so let's get this started, everyone. So just for everyone's reference, I'm Arpit Garg, everyone. I'm a CA, CIA, CRM, CISA qualified, mentor with GPC, Global Professional Certification, faculty for CIA, been taking sessions for last 5 years, co-founding partner for Riskman. Before Riskman, I was with ENY, and before that with Genpact ERC and then Access NBI, having over 1.5 decade of experience, uh, focused purely on the risk assurance advisory domain. Um, Monday to Friday, I work as a consultant for various companies. Saturday, Sunday is when I take these sessions, everyone. And it's more in terms of practical learning that I try and kind of keep sharing with everyone to learn, upskill themselves, along with passing on the CIA certification program. So my larger exposure is on the enterprise risk services, which includes risk-based audits to internal financial control, designing, testing to ICFR, SOX engagements, as well as a larger focus goes to the IT risk side, wherein we work on ITGC reviews, ITAC reviews, SOC, ISO 27001, TSAX, PCI DSS, high trust, and multiple allied areas, business continuity planning, cybersecurity, and other stuff that I work with various clients. So that's very brief about me, everyone. I have also got a lot of exposure in working across the markets. So, of course, India is my home place. So, a lot of exposure in India across the sectors, be it retail, technology, insurance, EPC, automobile, pharma, telecom, edtech, and had exposure working with a lot of US companies, been to US couple of times, delivered on-site projects, been to Middle East, been to APAC region, so have a larger exposure across the sectors. So I think that's bring lot of on-ground learning, which I try and share during the session series, right? So that's a very brief background about me, everyone. So the journey of CIA has been long back. So it's been 2020 when I started this journey of teaching CIA. Was taking the first 2 years, these sessions all voluntarily. Um, Probably was the first faculty for CIA in India, delivered 50 plus CIAs, early results. It was more like a passionate teaching. Even today, it's like a passionate teaching. And 2022 basically got associated with VGLD. VGLD was the first India's first learning partner for IIA when they went into learning partner program. I was the first faculty for VGLD, was there for almost 3 plus years, even until 2024, until somewhere end of 2024, I was with VGLD only. Uh, uh, VGLD also has a group company called 88 Learn, which is based out of Singapore. So our association was with 88 Learn and VGLD both. Trained 1,000 plus professionals in those 3.5 years for the CIA preparation. And this was mostly the CIA part-wise program session series that I was doing. 2023 is when we expanded ourselves, and I got into an MOU with II Bombay, which is where we do exclusive programs for CIA challenge exam between II Bombay and us. We have conducted more than 6 batches, 200 plus professionals for the CIA challenge exam, which is a one-shot exam for people uh, who are chartered accountants, CISA qualified, ACCA, CPA qualified, with a success rate of over 75%. So again, that has been continued. And December 2024, we want to create a larger impact, and that's where we launched Global Professional Certification. So it's a very young age. Um, you can see young age institute who have just got launched 6 months back, but it has been a critical response that we've seen 200 plus enrollments in 6 months from the launch. We already have 25 plus CIAs who have qualified in the old syllabus, and now we are continuing to deliver more exceptional results in the new syllabus also. So like I said, we have recently completed the part one, part three session series. So anyone who has now joined later on also, if you've not been through the session series, the part one, part three is the recorded sessions would be available for you all to kind of look at it. So that is one leg of it. Everyone, in terms of the CIE course, I'm sure you all know what is CIA. So I'll skip all of the slides. What are the steps? What are the benefits? I'll stuck come straight away to the CIA part two. So if we look at the CIA program, everyone, so you all know part one, part two, part three, anyone can appear any part at any point of time. Part one is essential of employing, part two is practice, part three is business knowledge. So this is old syllabus wherein we had 8 chapters in part one, 10 chapters in part two, and part three, we have 16 chapters. But if you look at the new syllabus, everyone, with the new syllabus is basically why new syllabus, first of all. New syllabus, everyone, is because there has been some change in the global audit standard. So, like many of you would know, 2025 onwards, beginning 2025 onwards, which is this year beginning, we have all the organizations were required to follow the global employment standards. Whoever basically followed the global audit standard, there was a change. So they were supposed to follow from January 2025 onwards. And with that change of organization, we following that new global audit standards coming in place from 28th of May 2025, the syllabus undergone a change, and now for CIA part wise. The new syllabus gets applicable, and the new syllabus is in line to the new global audit standards. So, part one is so there has been some flip around the concepts and topics which was in the old syllabus has moved differently in the new syllabus. Uh, being saying that, so part one is the foundation step, which starts with employment fundamentals, which is on the new syllabus. Part two is all about employee engagement, and this is one of the biggest part now. So, in fact, just for everyone's reference, part two is going to be the most complex part. Uh, when I say complex, yes, in terms of the content, it's huge, but in terms of learning, it's also again huge. So it's one side of it, yes, the complexity comes in, but the second side of it, it's going to be interesting because you're going to really learn a lot in the part two. So part two has 14 chapters now, unlike previous one where we had just 10 chapters. Now part two has 14 chapters, and part three is 6 chapters. It's a smaller unit, but based on the recent feedback that we had, there are a lot of complexities and questions that are being asked on the part three also. So I'll stick to this discussion because it's an orientation program. I'll stick to part two, everyone. Folks, I know some of you are also part of the part one, part three session series in the past. We'll take up the part three questions separately rather than in this orientation program. All right. So part one, part three, like I said, we have recently completed the session series. Part two is what we are starting now. So part two has 14 chapters in the new syllabus, everyone. We have 3 sections in the part two. Uh, Basically, the 3 sections are divided into section A, which is engagement planning, which has 50% weightage. Section B is about information gathering, analysis, and evaluation, which has another 40% weightage. And then we have engagement, supervision, and communication, which has 10% weightage. So total 100% is the split across the 3 sections. Now, everyone, if we have to talk a little bit about uh, how this entire part two has got constructed. So in the previous old syllabus, under the part three, there were a lot of topics like business acumen, IT, information technology, information security, and financial management. The four sections were in the part three. If you will look at it, everyone, this entire part three largely have moved to part two. Plus, along with this, some topics on section two, some topics on section three, almost all the topics of section three, and almost a lot of topics from section four is now the new part, part two. If you see the new part, part two is the entire section 3, which I'll talk a little bit more about it in the later part of the slides, which is what is covered in the engagement planning. We have 9 chapters in engagement planning. Then we have a couple of chapters on information gathering, analysis, and evaluation, and there are few chapters on engagement, supervision, and conclusion. So the biggest section in the new syllabus is section A, which is engagement planning. Basically, the construct, the way it has got changed, everyone, is earlier we were reading in the part 3 independent topics. So there were a lot of topics like strategic management, there were organization structures, project management, data analysis, and likewise a lot of topics on the IT and information security, which includes the database management to different types of information malware attacks to information security protocols to cyber security and a lot many more things. So we used to learn it independently, these sections. But with the new syllabus, the expectation is that you need to understand the business acumen, you need to understand the IT, you need to understand the information security during your engagement planning itself. And so the new section is now engagement planning, which has the subset of all of these topics. In fact, when you're doing your engagement planning, you also need to understand the ratios, you need to understand the basic financial management concepts. So that's why all of got merged to in the new syllabus under the section A, which is engagement planning. I'll take a pause here because this is very important aspect that I'm referring to. Are you all clear what is the new change that we are referring to? Are we clear in terms of what are we referring to, everyone? What is the new change? If we look at it in the previous old syllabus, I'll repeat that for you all. Before that, are you all with me? Are you all with me? Can I quickly see the word yes on the chat box? Everyone, can you all please type in yes or GTG on the chat box? GTG is good to go. Can I quickly see yes or GTG on the chat box? All right, great. So what I was mentioning is, if we look at the old syllabus had different topics of section 1 to section 4, which is on the business acumen, IT, information security, and financial management. This now has got merged to new syllabus within the topic called engagement planning. So within engagement planning, all of these topics to some form or in different form and context has been added to section A, and this has become the most heaviest section. In fact, if you ask me, 9 chapters alone is in section A, which is engagement planning, as per the GLIM content. Then we have section B, which is easy. Section C is also relatively easy that way. So this is the new syllabus. I'll touch base on topic-wise details across the parts, everyone, and then I'll be happy to take up some of the questions also. So I think we are clear. So everyone, in terms of the exam, CIA Part 2 is still sticking to a 100 MCQ exam. So Part 1 is a 125 MCQ exam. Part 2 and Part 3 is 100 MCQ exam. Part 2, 100 MCQs across 14 chapters or 3 sections, and then it is a 2 hour exam, very small window, 2 hours of which is 120 minutes. We have to appear 100 questions, which is good, relatively a good target, and that's how the time is available, and there's no break in this 2 hours, everyone. And we need to score above 80% to clear this exam. So there's no negative marking, but it's a scaled score, and mm, you don't get the question and answers results as in terms of which question you have done wrong. Only thing that you get is a scorecard, which if you pass, you get a pass with no score, and if you fail, you get a score within improvement areas across the sections with the score. Now, what is the basis of score? I think that's called as a scale score, so we'll not be able to comment on that. Our always priority is to see the passing results as pass. So that's about the course. Everyone, this is still the old one also. People who have been part of the old syllabus. So if the exam pattern is same, it's a MCQ based exam with 4 options coming in. You have to choose one of it with no negative marking. Everyone, part 1, 125 still sticking to the same. Part 2, part 3, despite the content has increased, part 2 still 100 MCQs will be tested. And we need to score how much? We need to score above. Everyone, we need to score above. How much? We need to score above
80.
80% of the 80% in the exam. All right, great. So earlier we have touched upon this, everyone. What is the service line? So in fact, if you look at it, the part 2 will give you a lot of insights because while the part 1 and the part 3 also touch upon the different insurance and advisory services that we do, part 2 also focused a lot on the IT side of it, on the business acumen side of it. So everything in terms of cyber security, in terms of IT risk, in terms of even risk management. Lot of it would be covered under the data privacy, or lot of it would be covered under the part 2 of the CIA syllabus, and the whole internal audit. Basically, how do we do engagement planning, to how do we prepare our work paper, how does the supervision happens, how do we communicate results, everything will be part of the part 1. That's why part 2 is more about the practice of employee engagement, delivering the employee engagement. So everyone, again, our source content would be GLIM. GLIM is one of the most recognized content. So it has almost 1800 plus questions for the part 2. You can practice the GLIM question unit wise also. Of course, there will be concept buildings and summaries, PPT slides that I'm sure all of you know. And then, of course, all the sessions like the part 1, part 3 will be recorded, and additional MCQs will be uploaded on the GPC LMS, which you all can refer, and then you can get access to. You all know our approach, so I'm going to skip all of this, everyone. So I'll straight away come. Now, I think we have a larger audience. Can I see people who have joined for the first time? Anyone who has joined for the first time for any of our session series, can I quickly see it on the chat box? Anyone who is not familiar with what is CIA, or no, the first time taking a look on the program? So I can see a couple of yeses now, Ajit and Ashwarya. All right. So Ajit and Ashwarya, because we have the larger audience which has already been with us on the previous session series, I would request both of you to please take the CIE Part 1 and Part 3 orientation program, which is available on the YouTube also. So that will help you with the overall context on how do we approach, and how do we approach for this exam. All right. So and what is CIA? How does it going to benefit? What is the benefit of IM member? There are a lot of things that we have covered, because I think 95% of the audience and the people who have joined this session is already being part of this. I would request if you could both can look at the orientation program of part 1, part 3. This would be about an hour session, which would be less than an hour session, which will be on the YouTube of Global Professional Certification. Just type in Global Professional Certification on YouTube, and you can look at the orientation program. So I hope it is just to respect others' time. So we'll keep it very focused rather than repeating the whole stuff. All right. So now coming back to the coverage, everyone. So like I said, in the previous, we had 4 sections, 10 chapters, but now this has got significantly changed. So if you look at the new syllabus now, the new syllabus, the 3 sections, the first section is engagement planning, the second is information gathering, analyzing, evaluation, and the third section is engagement supervision and communication. So the first 50% weightage is across these 9 chapters, wherein we start with basics of business, which is all about business acumen as a whole. Then we get into components of employee engagements, which includes risk assessment to a lot of other topics. Then section 3, unit 3, which talks about control, frameworks, audit, business continuity. Then cybersecurity, accounting concepts, accounting and performance measure concepts, business process and cycles, resources and procedures, which is around engagement resources, engagement procedures, work program. All of this get covered here. Unit 9 is all about risk assessment. So this will cover your entire part 1, which is on the engagement planning. And once this is done, everyone, then we get into section B, which covers another 40% weightage. Very simple, but we have just three units here: information gathering, analyzing information, documentation, evaluation, and conclusion. And then the last section, everyone, which is on the supervision and communication. So we have 14 chapters spread across these 14 units as part of the GLIM content. I'll take a pause here. Do we have any questions so far? I'll be happy to take it. Any questions so far? Ajit, I'll cover the approach. Don't worry about that. Okay. Any questions so far? Any one of you? All right. Ashwin is asking, so good morning, sir. Sorry to disturb you during class, sir. I wanted to know whether the CIE is a professional course like CMA or CS. What is scope in the industries like iron, steel, and sponge iron? I had inquired about it earlier, but no one gave me a clear answer, so I haven't joined yet. Okay. So Ashwarya, CIA is basically a special core focus course for the domain of risk assurance and advisory, which specialize into internal audit. So just for your reference, so there are multiple service line in the risk assurance advisory, right from enterprise risk management to internal audit to third party risk management, IT risk management, and a lot of that. So if you have a larger vision of being in this domain, yes, CIA is one of the most recognized among all. Um, so yes, it's a professional course. Yes, it's a globally recognized certification. Uh, it is not an industry specific course, if you ask me, like what is iron, steel, and sponge iron, but what we learn is applicable across industries. So it is relevant for all the industry, not just one. Ashwarya. I hope this makes sense to you. Okay. Yeah, Ashish is asking, is there IT part in section B? Yes. Uh, section B, not necessary to be alone in section B, but section A, yes. If you see cybersecurity risk and controls and other topics would have IT related topic here, Ashish. Is that clear? So we'll get into the unit wise what are we going to learn in the later part of the once we start the session series, but definitely IT is part of the part two. Like I said, the entire business acumen, the entire IT topic, in fact, the accounting, which was earlier in the old syllabus part three. You remember? I told you all, right? This is exactly that is almost all with more critical points have been added to part two. So you are going to learn almost the entire part three of the whole syllabus, and you're going to look at the some section of section two planning the engagement, performing all in the entire topic of performing the engagement, and few sections of communicating engagement results and communicating engagement results. Basically, this is going to be part of your new part two, which is coming here. Clear, everyone? Any doubt? I'll be happy to answer. Great. So I think we're clear on this. So I'll keep moving forward, everyone. So just this is more everyone. I know a lot of you wouldn't know, but this is more for people who don't know. So Ajit, this is for you basically. So any session that we do, basically we start with a context setting, which is where we see what are we going to learn, for example, unit. And in fact, just for everyone's reference, so whenever we start, and this is for people who have been with the older session series, please take a note when I'll be talking about the schedule. The first few sessions, in fact, the first two sessions will be on the part one. So in case you want to skip those sessions, it's completely fine. People who are completely coming for the first time for the part two, or there's a time gap between when they did last time part one, part three, and now they're joining part two. For them, it will be good. And people, let's say, who are appearing for part one, for them, if they want to do a quick revision, probably that could also help. So the first two session will be only on the part one. So if you see if you even in the part two orientation program, you can see the part one context, why it is there, because we will be covering the part one related sections also for the part two first, for the first 6 to 8 hours of the session series, so that everyone is on track and they understand terminologies from the part one. Yeah, so the our approach, how is our approach, everyone? So we start with a unit which talks about what are we going to learn, and then we talk about what are the key topics within this each topic, and then we get into the context understanding from the slides. So we have all the slides prepared, which says that okay, what is old, what is the new standards, and if you see, a lot of things have been highlighted on the go, which shares the context that what are we going to learn. Right, so everything that is highlighted on the slides are basically something that is more important. So we cover the slides first, right? So we cover like this slides. So there's a lot of content on the slides which we cover, and this also act as your revisionary slides towards the end of this session series. So like for example, part one we have 200 plus slides. For part two also, for part three also we have maybe 100 plus slides, right? It's a smaller part comparatively. So the slides help you all to recall everything that is there. In fact, focus on the highlighted section. So once the slide is done, the entire slides are done. In fact, on the go, we also do some of the MCQs like this. So we'll be doing the MCQs. This is the one level MCQ so that you don't get boredom just reading the content, and then also get familiar with some of the MCQs, and then we get into the going through the each content. So we go through the GLIM content word by word, also highlight in the GLIM what we've learned, where we have learned, and then we finally do some more MCQs via Google form, which later gets uploaded on the LMS, and then on the LMS you basically practice more, and then you also have the things to remember which acts as a bullet point for you. So this is our approach. So it's an end-to-end approach. We understand from the slides, we go through the GLIM content, we practice MCQs, all of them are uploaded on the LMS, which later can be accessed again. And then we also practice, and I share a lot of additional MCQs. Along with that, you also have the claim mode to practice by your own end. So this is the approach that we follow, everyone. Ajit, is that clear for you? Yeah. All right, great. So lovely, everyone. So now, if I have to talk a little bit about the schedule, so very quickly. So in terms of the schedule, see everyone, because this is one of the biggest part, we are expecting about 27 sessions for this. For 24 class, for what 14 chapters, we are expecting about 27 sessions. We are effectively starting from 16th of August. The timings would be morning 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. It will be 3.5 hour session because the content is huge, and we're expecting to close somewhere mid of November. The exam, of course, we try and push that people should appear in 3 weeks' time. So we will still continue to push and follow that methodology, everyone. So we need to sort of, and it's a huge content, so it's expected that you revise on the go rather than keeping everything at the end. It's a huge content that will be there. If I have to break into the sessions, everyone, so the 27 sessions today we have orientation program going on. So this is 10 to 10:30 a.m. While you see 10 a.m., it could go 10:30 also, and sometimes it could be 10 also. It depends on the flow also, everyone. And this is IST time zone. So context setting. So like I said, the first week that we start, everyone, and this is like I said, people who are appearing for part one yet and who are done with the part session series, you feel free to join part one context setting session. This will help you to recall in just 6 hours a lot of it that we'll be covering in the class. But if you want to skip, completely okay because you've already gone through the detailed session series. But people who are coming straight away for the part two, you can start straight away with part two also. While I know it's one of the complex part, but if you do straight away part two, it will help you to solve the most complex part of the CIA session series. So you can straight away come to part two. It's not that you have to do part one or part three to come to part two, because we do have will refer to the part one related content first. And then what we'll do is we'll go into the chapter wise session series. So we are expecting like because initially will take some time to flow, and the first chapter is a huge big chapter, so we'll cover maybe first three sessions on the unit one, then we'll do unit two, unit three, and likewise unit four. So we have split across 27 sessions, and we're expecting this to cover by mid of November. So it's going to be the most lengthier session series. And again, like everyone, it also depends on the flow. So not necessarily it has to be 15 November. Sometimes this could go um, little extended or little lesser also. It depends on the flow of the class also. So this is more tentative. I will not say that we'll freeze that, okay, after three sessions, we'll not do, let's say two session, we'll do only for unit two. Sometimes the need of the hour is that people need more support, more guidance, more learning. It takes time. So we may have to stretch on a particular unit. But tentatively, this is where we are aspiring to close so that by end of this year, people who have started with us in May somewhere should be able to complete their entire CIA journey. So this is pretty much in terms of the class, everyone. So the course fee, if you look at it, Glim alone, if you buy the content today now, the current pricing I've just checked on the website, it's about $874. And if we look at the video lectures of the Glim, then it is roughly about $924. You pay up 80,000 plus with the currency conversion cost and payment charges. But at GPC, because we are IA learning partner, we are an authorized IA learning partner. So we give the Glim content plus the entire thing that we are talking about in terms of our sessions, video classes, everything. So which is to the entire package cost is generally 65,000 plus tax, but since beginning we have been continued to carry out a discounted price of 49,000, like 50,000, you can say 50,000 plus GST for all parts, and a discounted price. So each part is about 20,000 plus GST. The cost of reappearing is high, so it's about $250 as for part two, part three. For part one, in fact, it's more $275 roughly. So we pay 20,000 roughly for each part, 21,000 for reappearing. It's the same cost for reappearing, everyone. So that's the benefit of being with GPC. At least you get the entire claim content, plus you also get a lot of handholding support in terms of what to focus, where to focus, the slides, the additional MCQs, uh, class curated MCQs. So lot of more thing you get at a much lower cost that way. Because here in in the entire package, you also not just get the Glim content, but Glim plus all the other efforts, which is more important, honestly, and that will really help you for your exam preparation. So everyone, so like I said, we are a learning partner. We have an MOU between India and Global Professional Certification. This is a website, everyone, so you can refer to our website. Most of the announcements comes on the website. So in fact, if you look at it here, in fact, today's orientation program is flagged here. We have a lot of students from various corporates. You can look at our launch video. And very, very important is you can look at our success stories. So generally, every conferences or the annual general meeting that happens across higher India chapters, we do participate along with the all the people who pass the IA journey. They are also participated in these conferences as part of the IA program. So if you see on the flipping slides, these are all different IA events. Like for this one is for Delhi AGM, and this is at Hyderabad. This is in Mumbai. So a lot of people who have passed after studying with us. In fact, if you want to go through a little bit more, there are a lot of testimonials you can later on refer. This is where people have recorded themselves. So, like if you will see here, you can literally hear the recording. And then if you will go down, you will get even the written content. Sometimes people are not comfortable writing it, and then you can see a lot of our posts like this. So I'll skip all of this, but there's the website you can refer for future updates as well. Everyone, these are just quick summary of the testimonials, our participation across events, and then our students from different corporates. So we have been working. Almost the smartest people are in the class, so it really helps each other to not just learn and qualify, but really connect with each other and be part of the session series and be part of the larger community which we are trying to build. And the people are the best minds in the country, across the world, I would say, not the country, but across the world. So that's very brief about us, everyone. So I think I've kept it for 1.5 hours, but I was able to do it in 35, 40 minutes. I'll take up the questions after this because most of you knew it. So um, I'll be taking this. I would be happy to take up any questions for the part two. I think, yeah, Santosh is asking, writing for the part three. Part three session, like I said, Santosh, I'll be talking about part three in a while separately, not in this session. I'll take up the part three related discussion separately. So don't worry about that. I'm working on it, and you will hear probably by today, Yori, on the group. All right. Any questions on the part two, everyone? Are we good to go? Any questions so far? Happy to hear. So are we clear? Are we clear on terms of the approach for the part two? Can I quickly see yes or no on the chat box? Are we clear in terms of yes, GTG on the chat box? Everyone, yes or no? All right, great. Um, Everyone, wonderful then. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a short, crisp, to the point session. Thank you so much in the morning to join this. Like I said, for part three, everyone who are appearing soon, part one, please go full blown, go and appear and clear it with whoever we have done it. We've got 100% result in the part one. As you all can see, part three, I'm going to come back in terms of the strategy based on the feedback. I've already told in the group, but I'll come back on what more to be done by today itself. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, once again for joining and take care till then. Have a good day. See you soon. Bye bye, everyone. Good day.